There is a force inside you that most people misunderstand, suppress, or waste. It rises suddenly, sometimes inconveniently, sometimes intensely. You have been told to control it, to hide it, to feel ashamed of it. But what if that very force was meant to be your greatest advantage? You feel it in moments of attraction, in ambition, in the restless urge to conquer, to possess, to create, to experience more life. It is not a polite emotion. It does not whisper. It surges. And because it surges, most men either surrender to it or run from it. Both reactions are mistakes. Surrender drains your focus and leaves you weaker. Suppression creates tension and confusion. But there is a third path, one rarely explained, a path where that same emotional fire becomes fuel for achievement instead of distraction. Consider this carefully. The strongest emotions you experience are also the most powerful sources of energy available to you. Emotion is motion. It propels thought. It intensifies imagination. It amplifies desire. Without it, your goals remain faint wishes. The emotion commonly labeled lust is simply raw creative energy in its most concentrated form. Left undirected, it seeks immediate expression. Directed with intelligence, it becomes persistence, magnetism, courage, and inspired action. Have you noticed how your confidence increases when you feel deeply stirred? How ideas seem sharper, speech becomes bolder, posture straighter? That is not coincidence. The mind and body respond to heightened emotional charge with increased vitality. Most people discharge this charge instantly in pursuit of pleasure, a brief release, a fleeting satisfaction, and afterward a return to ordinary thinking. But the rare individual pauses. He does not extinguish the flame, he redirects it. He asks himself, where can this energy serve me? Instead of scattering it in momentary gratification, he channels it into his work, his study, his mission. He sits down to write, to build, to strategize, to act with unusual intensity. When emotion is linked to a definite purpose, it multiplies your mental power. A cold goal rarely moves mountains. A heated one does. When your objective is infused with emotional force, you do not need motivation. You feel compelled. History quietly reveals this truth. The most driven creators, innovators, and leaders were not emotionless beings. They were deeply emotional, intensely alive. The difference was not in the strength of their urges, but in the direction of them. You have likely felt the cost of misdirected desire, lost time, clouded focus, regret over energy spent on impulses that left you no stronger than before. That frustration is not proof that desire is your enemy. It is proof you have not yet mastered it. Mastery does not mean denial, it means transformation. It means recognizing that every powerful urge carries potential. The question is whether you will convert that potential into progress or allow it to dissipate into habit. Imagine if each time that fire rose within you, you attached it to your primary goal. Imagine if you used the heightened state to rehearse your vision, to plan your next bold move, to take decisive action while your energy peaked. Emotion accelerates belief. When you combine intense feeling with clear intention, you impress that intention upon your subconscious mind. Repeated often enough, this creates confidence that appears almost supernatural to outside observers. This is why men who understand transmutation radiate presence. They speak with conviction. They pursue with focus. Their eyes reveal purpose. It is not charisma by accident. It is energy under direction. Many men drift because they waste their strongest emotions. They seek stimulation without construction. They chase excitement without attachment to a higher aim, and so their power leaks away, little by little. The disciplined individual does the opposite. He cultivates a definite chief aim. He defines it in detail. He revisits it daily. Then, when emotional intensity arises, he pours that energy into the visualization and pursuit of that aim. Over time, this practice changes him. His imagination becomes vivid. His persistence strengthens. His will hardens. He no longer feels divided between desire and discipline. They become allies. This lesson is not about morality. It is about power. Whether you acknowledge it or not, the energy exists within you. Ignored, it will rule you. Understood, it will elevate you. Ask yourself honestly, how much of your life's momentum has been lost to scattered impulses? How much progress delayed by moments of indulgence that gave you nothing lasting in return? There is no condemnation here, only awareness. Awareness is the first step. The second is decision. Decide that you will no longer waste your strongest emotional force. Decide that when the urge rises, you will harness it. Decide that it will serve your ambition, not sabotage it. When you practice this consistently, something remarkable occurs. The fire does not diminish. It intensifies, but under your command. Instead of feeling like a slave to impulse, you feel like an architect of destiny. You begin to notice that periods of high emotional energy become periods of high productivity. That attraction transforms into creativity. That longing becomes drive. That restlessness becomes focused effort. This is the art of transmutation. It is subtle, but its effects are profound. It is the conversion of base impulse into refined power. It is the difference between being consumed by your fire and using it to forge your future. Very few will apply this lesson. It requires self-awareness, restraint, and vision. It requires you to think beyond the moment and attach your emotions to something larger than pleasure. But if you do apply it, you will experience a shift that others cannot easily explain. You will appear more disciplined, more energized, more purposeful. In truth, you will simply be directing your most potent force toward creation. The fire within you was never meant to weaken you. It was meant to be guided, to be aimed, to be transformed into achievement that outlives fleeting desire. The urge will rise again. It always does. When it does, you will face the same choice as before. Scatter it or focus it. Discharge it or direct it. Serve it or master it. And in that moment of choice, your future quietly takes shape. There exists within every man a reservoir of emotional force so powerful that, if misused, it scatters his ambition. Yet if directed with intelligence, it becomes the very engine of achievement. Most men misunderstand this force. They are taught either to indulge it without restraint or to deny it with embarrassment. Both habits produce weakness. Neither produces mastery. This force rises suddenly. It does not ask permission. It surges through the mind and body with intensity. In such moments, thoughts become sharper, imagination livelier, speech more daring. That heightened condition is not weakness. It is increased vitality. It is life concentrated. The majority respond in one of two ways. They surrender to the urge immediately, seeking quick satisfaction, or they attempt to crush it entirely, creating inner conflict. The first path drains energy. The second produces tension. In both cases, the force is wasted. There is a third course, rarely taught, seldom practiced. That course is direction. The emotional fire must not be extinguished. It must be harnessed. It must be connected to a definite purpose so that its heat strengthens resolve rather than dissolving it. In my years of observing men who rose to prominence and those who drifted into obscurity, I found that the difference did not lie in the presence of emotion. The difference lay in its control. The great builders of industry were not cold, lifeless men. They were intensely alive. Their emotional nature was powerful, yet governed. Consider Thomas Edison in his laboratory, laboring through long nights with tireless enthusiasm. Consider Henry Ford insisting upon designs others declared impossible. These men possessed emotional intensity, yet instead of scattering it in indulgence, they poured it into invention and enterprise. The same energy that drives a man toward attraction can drive him toward construction. The same impulse that seeks pleasure can seek accomplishment. The direction determines the result. Energy itself is neutral. Its effect depends upon aim. Many men lose 10 productive years because they squander their strongest emotional states on passing impulses. They rise in excitement, then discharge it in brief indulgence, and afterward feel ordinary once more. Their highest vitality never reaches their work. Their grandest visions are rehearsed without fire. When emotion is separated from purpose, life becomes divided. Discipline feels forced. Ambition feels heavy. The man alternates between indulgence and regret. He wonders why progress is slow. He does not realize that his most potent force has been dissipated repeatedly. The first discipline is awareness without shame. When the surge of feeling arises, do not condemn yourself. Do not pretend it does not exist. Recognize it as increased vitality. Ask calmly, where shall I direct this power? That question alone begins transformation. Imagine a furnace burning fiercely in a workshop. If left open, it scorches the room and wastes heat. If sealed too tightly, it builds pressure and causes strain. But if connected to machinery, it powers engines and shapes metal. So it is with the emotional furnace within man. The builders of nations, industries, and ideas understood, whether consciously or by instinct, that heightened emotion is fuel. They did not apologize for it. They refined it. They turned longing into labor. They turned attraction into ambition. They turned restlessness into relentless effort. Observe a man who has learned this art. His bearing is steady yet energized. His eyes reveal purpose. His speech carries force without excess. Others sense that he possesses depth. They may call it magnetism. In truth, it is disciplined vitality. Contrast him with the one who indulges without restraint. His energy fluctuates. His focus fades quickly. His enthusiasm appears in bursts, then vanishes. Others sense instability and hesitate to entrust him with responsibility. The disciplined man conserves his strength. He does not extinguish emotion. He refines it. When the fire rises, he sits at his desk. He writes. He plans. He studies his chief aim. He channels the surge into creation rather than discharge. Such redirection must be practiced repeatedly. At first, impulse feels stronger than purpose. Yet with each act of mastery, purpose grows firmer. The will strengthens. Gradually, the furnace becomes servant rather than master. The tragedy is not that this force exists. The tragedy is that few are instructed in its use. Many are told it is dangerous. Others are told it must be satisfied immediately. Rarely is it explained that it can be transformed into achievement. The men who have achieved lasting distinction did not live in a state of dull moderation. They lived with intensity, but their intensity was yoked to vision. Their emotions were allies of ambition, not enemies of discipline. If you wish to reclaim years that might otherwise be lost to scattered indulgence, begin here. Decide that your strongest emotional moments will serve your highest aim. When you feel stirred, attach that stirring to your purpose. See your goal vividly. Plan boldly. Act decisively. Say to yourself, the fire within me is creative force. I do not waste it. I direct it toward achievement. Each surge strengthens my purpose. Each act of mastery increases my power. As you repeat this practice, a subtle change occurs. You no longer feel divided between desire and discipline. They unite. The energy that once distracted you now drives you. Your imagination becomes vivid. Your resolve becomes firm. Others will notice the difference. They will see steadiness where once there was fluctuation. They will observe productivity during periods that formerly produced distraction. They may not understand the cause, but they will witness the effect. The hidden furnace within man is neither curse nor virtue in itself. It is raw material. Left unshaped, it wastes heat. Directed wisely, it tempers steel. Thus, the first lesson in turning urge into achievement is not suppression, but recognition and redirection. Awareness begins mastery. Direction builds power. And power, properly harnessed, shortens the road to accomplishment. You have within you a force capable of weakening you or elevating you. The choice does not lie in eliminating it, but in commanding it. Each time the flame rises, you stand at a quiet crossroad. Scatter it or shape it, waste it or wield it. In that repeated choice, years are either lost or saved. And in learning to guide the furnace within, you take the first step toward transforming raw impulse into enduring achievement. Emotion is motion. It sets thought into action. Without emotion, ideas remain faint impressions. They lack force. They lack urgency. A man may possess knowledge and plans, yet without emotional heat, those plans remain dormant. When emotion joins thought, however, the mind quickens and action follows naturally. This is why cold ambition rarely produces extraordinary results. A goal stated without feeling is like a seed cast upon stone. It cannot take root. But when a definite purpose is infused with strong emotion, it becomes magnetic. It draws attention. It commands effort. It compels persistence even when obstacles appear. Most men separate their strongest emotions from their highest aims. They indulge feeling privately and pursue ambition with lukewarm discipline. They do not realize that the very surge they experience in moments of attraction is the same force capable of accelerating achievement. When heightened feeling arises, the mind is in a receptive condition. Imagination becomes vivid. Images form more clearly. Speech becomes bold. Confidence increases. This condition must not be wasted. It must be attached deliberately to your chief purpose. Imagination is the workshop in which this transformation occurs. When emotional force surges, withdraw for a moment from distraction. Close your eyes. See your aim as already achieved. Feel the satisfaction as present fact. Allow the intensity to fuse with your vision. Repeat it often. This practice establishes habit. The subconscious mind responds to emotion more readily than to dry instruction. When strong feeling accompanies a definite picture of success, belief strengthens. And belief is the foundation of action. Consider how Charles M. Schwab spoke of steel not merely as product, but as destiny. His enthusiasm was contagious. It was not mere words that persuaded men to follow him. It was conviction charged with feeling. That emotional alignment with purpose made his leadership compelling. Andrew Carnegie did not build his empire through logic alone. He believed intensely in the future of industry. That belief, charged with emotion, attracted capable men into harmonious alliance. Emotion unified with aim creates influence. The man who understands this law does not wait for inspiration. He cultivates it. He rehearses his purpose daily with feeling. He speaks his aim aloud with conviction. He trains his mind to associate emotional intensity with productive effort rather than indulgence. At first, this requires conscious effort. Habit may pull toward immediate satisfaction. Yet with repetition, redirection becomes natural. The moment feeling rises, the mind automatically turns toward construction. Such discipline saves years. Instead of alternating between enthusiasm and regret, the individual experiences consistent momentum. Each surge of vitality contributes to progress. Nothing is wasted. Outwardly, others perceive unusual steadiness. They observe that you become most productive during moments that once produced distraction. They see focus where once there was fluctuation. They describe you as driven, purposeful, alive. This is not accident, it is alignment. When emotion and ambition move in the same direction, effort multiplies. When they oppose each other, energy divides and weakens. The practice of repetition is essential. Repetition builds belief. Repetition trains response. Each time you consciously attach heightened feeling to your aim, you strengthen the connection. Eventually, the link becomes automatic. Say to yourself, when my emotion rises, it strengthens my purpose. My imagination is vivid. My belief is firm. My energy serves my achievement. Henry Ford's determination to build a motor car for the multitude was not sustained by cold calculation. It was sustained by belief charged with feeling. That feeling endured ridicule and delay. It infused his enterprise with vitality. Many who drift lack emotional attachment to their aims. They state goals mechanically. They work without fire. When difficulty appears, they retreat because nothing within compels them forward. Their ambition is faint. In contrast, the man who has united emotion with purpose feels driven from within. He does not depend solely upon discipline. He feels compelled to act because his vision is heated. Obstacles appear smaller when compared to intense desire. This union of emotion and aim produces persistence naturally. You no longer struggle to maintain effort. The effort flows from conviction. Conviction grows from repeated emotional rehearsal. Guard this practice carefully. Do not allow strong feeling to be spent carelessly. View it as valuable capital. Invest it in your purpose. Withdraw from trivial distractions during heightened states. Direct attention toward construction. Over time, this discipline transforms character. You become less reactive and more deliberate. Impulse becomes instrument. Desire becomes direction. Energy becomes accomplishment. Thus, the art of redirected emotion is simple in principle, yet profound in effect. It does not require suppression. It requires attachment. It does not require denial. It requires transformation. Each surge of feeling presents opportunity. You may discharge it instantly and return to ordinary thought, or you may channel it into extraordinary effort. In that choice lies the difference between scattered years and concentrated achievement. The leaders I studied were not free from passion. They were masters of it. They understood that emotion intensifies thought, and thought governs action. By attaching emotion to purpose, they accelerated their progress beyond that of their peers. If you would reclaim 10 years of distracted effort, begin now to practice this redirection. Let no strong emotion pass without linking it to your chief aim. Build the habit through repetition. In time, you will find that what once weakened you now strengthens you. Your imagination will grow vivid. Your confidence will deepen. Your actions will carry unusual force. This is the art by which raw impulse becomes refined ambition. And it is through this art that the energy within you becomes servant rather than master, forging achievement where once it produced only momentary release. Raw impulse seeks immediate expression. Refined ambition seeks enduring creation. The distinction between the two lies not in the strength of the emotion, but in the direction given to it. The same fire that can consume discipline can also forge achievement. It is the refining process that determines the outcome. Imagination is the crucible in which this refinement occurs. When emotion surges, imagination becomes vivid. Images sharpen, possibilities expand. If you allow that heightened state to drift toward indulgence, the energy disperses. If you lead it into imagination aligned with your definite aim, it solidifies into creative thought. The process is deliberate. When stirred by strong feeling, withdraw from distraction. Enter your mental workshop. Ask yourself what enterprise demands this vitality. See yourself advancing in your chosen field. Visualize plans unfolding. Picture obstacles yielding before persistent effort. Allow emotion to animate the vision. Repeated practice strengthens the will. Each time you refuse immediate discharge and choose redirection, you reinforce mastery. At first, impulse resists control, yet with steady repetition, control becomes natural. The mind grows accustomed to linking feeling with construction. Thomas Edison did not invent through cold indifference. His passion for discovery animated his labor. Luther Burbank's devotion to plant cultivation was not lukewarm, it was fervent. The Wright brothers' determination to conquer the air was charged with emotion. They did not suppress feeling, they refined it into invention. This refinement produces dignity. The man who has mastered his impulses carries himself with quiet assurance. His energy does not leak through restless distraction. It gathers within him, concentrated and available. Others sense steadiness beneath his intensity. Contrast this with the undisciplined individual. His moods fluctuate, his enthusiasm rises and falls quickly. He appears animated in one moment and depleted in the next. His energy is spent as rapidly as it appears. Others hesitate to rely upon him. Refinement conserves vitality. When emotional force is consistently directed toward purpose, it accumulates. Accumulated force strengthens imagination and persistence. Persistence shortens the road to accomplishment. Each act of redirection builds character. You begin to trust yourself. You know that you are capable of mastering your strongest urges. That self-trust radiates outward. Confidence grows not from empty affirmations alone, but from repeated evidence of inner command. Say to yourself, my impulse is raw material for creation. My imagination refines it. Each act of mastery strengthens my will. I grow more powerful with each redirection. As this habit forms, you will notice that periods of heightened emotion coincide with periods of exceptional productivity. You will write with greater clarity. You will plan with greater boldness. You will act with unusual decisiveness. The energy that once scattered now concentrates. This practice also elevates your associations. You become selective in conversation and companionship. You avoid environments that provoke idle indulgence. You seek environments that encourage ambition. Refinement influences choice. Over years, this discipline compounds. 10 years once lost to distraction become 10 years invested in growth. 20 years once marked by fluctuation become 20 years of steady ascent. The difference lies in the repeated decision to refine rather than release. The visible change others perceive is subtle yet unmistakable. They observe composure during provocation. They note sustained effort where once there was inconsistency. They sense intensity guided by purpose rather than governed by impulse. This quality inspires respect. Employers entrust responsibility to those who demonstrate control. Partners prefer those whose emotions do not disrupt judgment. Clients favor those whose steadiness suggests reliability. Refinement also strengthens the master-mind alliance. When you enter cooperative association with others who have likewise mastered their impulses, the combined force is formidable. Harmonized intensity multiplies power. Remember that refinement does not diminish vitality. It magnifies it. Suppression weakens energy. Indulgence dissipates it. Transformation preserves and strengthens it. The furnace burns as brightly as before, but its heat is directed toward shaping metal instead of scorching walls. The disciplined individual does not live in dull moderation. He lives with strong feeling under command. His passion fuels his enterprise. His imagination thrives upon his emotional charge. His ambition grows more vivid with each redirection. Years are saved through this refinement because wasted cycles diminish. Regret fades. Momentum increases. Instead of alternating between indulgence and renewed effort, you experience continuity. Continuity builds mastery. Affirm. I refine my impulses into achievement. My imagination is my workshop. My will grows stronger daily. My energy accumulates for constructive use. This is not theory, but law. Emotional force, when consistently redirected, strengthens creative capacity, it sharpens thought, it intensifies belief, it accelerates action. Left unrefined, it drains vitality and delays success. The great creators were not devoid of passion, they were masters of it. Their emotional nature did not weaken them, it propelled them. Through repeated refinement, they turned urge into invention, longing into enterprise, and attraction into achievement. You possess the same furnace. The same crucible awaits within your imagination. Each surge of feeling offers material for refinement. Each act of mastery strengthens your character. In this way, raw impulse becomes creative power. What once threatened to distract you becomes the very instrument of your ascent. Through repeated refinement, you reclaim control of your energy, your time, and your destiny. Restraint is not repression. Repression is born of fear and produces tension. Restraint is born of understanding and produces strength. When a man understands that his emotional force is capital, he ceases to squander it carelessly. He does not despise it. He values it. Every strong emotion carries vitality. If discharged instantly and repeatedly, that vitality diminishes. If preserved and directed, it accumulates. Accumulated force becomes presence. Presence becomes influence. Influence opens doors that talent alone cannot unlock. Observe a river during flood. When uncontained, it spreads across fields and loses depth. When guided by banks, it gains power sufficient to turn great wheels. The same law governs emotional force. Direction deepens it. Dissipation weakens it. The preservation of power begins in thought. Guard your mental images carefully. What you dwell upon influences feeling. Images repeated with emotion form habit. Habit forms character. Character shapes destiny. If you continually provoke impulse through idle stimulation, you train yourself toward weakness. Select your reading, conversation, and associations wisely. Those who make light of discipline will weaken your resolve. Those who pursue noble aims will strengthen it. Association influences emotion more than most men suspect. Habit is a silent ruler. Repeated indulgence establishes rhythm. That rhythm becomes difficult to break. Repeated redirection establishes a different rhythm, one of mastery. Each day you choose restraint with purpose. You reinforce the new pattern. The undisciplined man often appears lively, yet lacks endurance. His energy rises and falls unpredictably. Employers sense inconsistency. Associates sense unreliability. Opportunity hesitates before attaching itself to him. The disciplined man, by contrast, appears composed and steady. His energy does not leak through restless habits. It remains available for enterprise. Others observe that he can be trusted with responsibility because his conduct is governed by command rather than impulse. This quality enhances reputation. Reputation precedes advancement. Those known for self-command are chosen for leadership. Those known for excess are overlooked. Thus, the discipline of preserved force yields tangible reward. Consider the young clerk who resolves to render more service than he is paid for. If he dissipates his vitality in distraction, his effort weakens. If he preserves his strength and channels it into his work, he becomes indispensable. His restraint fuels advancement. The law of stored vitality operates gradually. Each act of redirection deposits energy into your reserve. That reserve strengthens will, imagination, and persistence. Over time, the accumulation becomes evident in your bearing and productivity. Many men lament lost years without recognizing the cause. They squandered their strongest emotions repeatedly. They sought momentary relief rather than long-term gain. The cost was invisible at first. Later, it appeared as regret. Early discipline prevents such loss. A young man who learns to govern his impulses may save 10 years of wandering, 20 years of inconsistency, 30 years of diminished opportunity. The saving is not dramatic, it is cumulative. Restraint must be intelligent. It does not demand harsh denial, it demands purposeful redirection. When emotional force rises, acknowledge it, preserve it, attach it to constructive action. Over time, the habit becomes natural. Say to yourself, I preserve my vitality for worthy aims. My discipline strengthens my reputation. My habits build my destiny. I grow more powerful with each act of self-command. Guard especially the hours of heightened feeling. Those hours contain exceptional vitality. If wasted, they drain you. If directed, they produce exceptional results. Choose consciously in those moments. The environment you cultivate matters greatly. Surround yourself with those who respect ambition. Avoid constant exposure to influences that provoke idle indulgence. The mind absorbs atmosphere readily. Discipline also clarifies thought. When impulse is governed, judgment sharpens. Decisions become firmer. Plans become steadier. You cease to feel divided between desire and duty. They unite under command. This unity produces quiet strength. Others may not understand its source, yet they perceive its effect. They sense steadiness. They trust your word. They rely upon your constancy. Over years, such discipline transforms character. What began as effort becomes nature. Mastery becomes habit. The furnace within burns steadily, neither flaring destructively nor smoldering weakly. The tragedy of wasted potential is rarely caused by lack of talent. It is caused by lack of preservation. Men squander their strongest force and then wonder why progress is slow. They attempt to build with diminished energy. Preserved force multiplies creativity. When you sit to plan or construct with accumulated vitality, ideas flow readily. Persistence feels natural. Confidence grows. Thus, discipline is not deprivation. It is investment. It is the conscious storing of energy for significant purpose. Each act of restraint strengthens the reservoir from which future achievement will draw. Affirm, I command my habits. I guard my thoughts. I preserve my strength. My discipline multiplies my power. This law is simple yet profound. Energy conserved becomes strength. Strength applied becomes achievement. Achievement reinforces discipline. The cycle continues upward. In mastering the discipline that preserves power, you prepare yourself for greater responsibility and greater reward. The world entrusts influence to those who demonstrate command over themselves. Therefore, do not view restraint as limitation. View it as liberation. It frees you from slavery to impulse and places you in authority over your force. Through steady discipline, you transform fleeting emotion into stored vitality. That vitality becomes the foundation upon which enduring accomplishment rests. In this manner, years once vulnerable to waste become years invested in growth. When a man has learned to govern his strongest emotional force, something unmistakable begins to radiate from him. It is not loudness. It is not boastfulness. It is presence. His words carry weight. His gestures are measured yet powerful. Others feel, even before he speaks, that he is not divided within himself. This quality is often described as magnetism. It is not a mystery. It is concentrated vitality under command. The same force that once produced distraction now produces direction. The same fire that once weakened discipline now strengthens ambition. Energy, when unified with purpose, becomes influence. Observe the difference between a man whose emotions scatter and one whose emotions are aligned. The first may appear animated, yet his intensity is inconsistent. He begins projects with excitement and abandons them quickly. His enthusiasm flares and fades. Others hesitate to rely upon him. The second appears calm yet powerful. His intensity does not fluctuate wildly. When stirred, he channels that surge into constructive action. He does not announce his discipline, he demonstrates it. Over time, others recognize that he can be trusted with responsibility. Leadership is rarely granted to the unstable. It is entrusted to those whose conduct suggests self-command. Andrew Carnegie gathered around him men of ability and bound them in harmony. Such harmony would have been impossible had his own emotional nature been disorderly. Control attracts cooperation. Within a mastermind alliance, disciplined emotion multiplies strength. When several individuals unite under a common purpose and each has mastered his impulses, their combined energy produces extraordinary effect. Harmonized vitality becomes creative power on a grand scale. Opportunity is drawn to steadiness. Investors prefer those who exhibit composure. Partners prefer those who do not waver at every provocation. Clients prefer those whose presence suggests reliability. Emotional mastery communicates stability. Years are saved through this mastery. The man who learns early to govern his impulses avoids cycles of regret and renewed effort. He avoids wasted momentum. His progress becomes cumulative rather than interrupted. 10 years may be reclaimed when impulse is mastered in youth. 20 years may be reclaimed when emotional energy consistently fuels enterprise instead of habit. 30 years may be saved when vitality is preserved for construction rather than scattered in repetition. Consider how many capable men have remained ordinary because they never learned this art. Their talent was present, their opportunity appeared, yet their inconsistency undermined them. They dissipated strength in moments that could have advanced them. Contrast them with men such as Henry Ford, whose conviction endured criticism, Thomas Edison, whose passion endured failure, Wilbur Wright, whose determination endured skepticism. These men were not devoid of powerful feeling. They were governed by it. When emotion is attached to a definite purpose, speech becomes persuasive. Thought becomes organized. Action becomes bold. Others interpret this as confidence. In truth, it is alignment. The inner furnace burns steadily toward one aim. The magnetic man is not immune to temptation. He simply chooses direction repeatedly. Each choice reinforces command. Each act of mastery strengthens character. Over time, mastery becomes nature. You will observe subtle changes in yourself. During moments of heightened emotion, you will feel increased clarity rather than confusion. You will act with intention rather than impulse. You will complete tasks that once would have been postponed. Others will notice. They will say you seem focused, driven, purposeful. They will sense that your energy does not leak through distraction. They may not understand the cause, yet they will respond to the effect. The world rewards those who demonstrate inner authority. Employers elevate them. Partners trust them. Communities respect them. Influence grows not from volume of words, but from steadiness of force. Say to yourself, my energy is creative power. I command it. I attach it to my definite purpose. Each surge strengthens my ambition. Each act of mastery increases my influence. The lesson of turning urge into achievement is not one of denial, but of transformation. You do not weaken the furnace within. You connect it to your engine of enterprise. You do not extinguish passion. You refine it. In doing so, you shorten the road to distinction. Instead of spending years alternating between indulgence and renewed discipline, you move steadily forward. Continuity replaces fluctuation. Momentum replaces regret. Over time, this continuity produces visible results. Projects reach completion. Opportunities multiply. Reputation strengthens. Confidence deepens. The very quality that once threatened distraction becomes the foundation of your success. Few will practice this art consistently. It requires awareness, repetition, and resolve. Yet those who do will experience a shift others cannot easily explain. They will feel unified within themselves. They will act with unusual certainty. The fire within you was never meant to consume you. It was meant to forge you. When governed wisely, it tempers character and sharpens ambition. It becomes courage, persistence, imagination, and influence. Each time the surge arises, you stand at a decision point. Scatter it or shape it, discharge it or direct it, serve it or master it. In that quiet choice, destiny advances. Affirm, I am master of my emotional force. My vitality serves my purpose. My discipline multiplies my achievement. I grow stronger, clearer, and more influential with each day. Thus, the magnetic man is born, not by accident, not by inheritance, but by repeated acts of command over the strongest energy within him. And through that command, years are saved, power is multiplied, and achievement becomes the natural outcome of directed life.